how you think, okay, I'm going to lose 15 pounds, I'm going to look this way, and I'm going to feel this way. Like it just doesn't work that way.
In this video, we're going to talk about the most important metrics to help you find your ideal body fat range. This will help you determine when you should end a muscle building phase and when you should end a fat loss phase to keep you in your sweet spot all the time. There are some incredible valuable insights throughout this entire video, so I encourage you to watch all the way through to the end. Enjoy it. Look forward to hearing your feedback afterwards. Aaron, you and I are both at a stage in our transformation journey where we are keenly aware of where our sweet spot is, where our ideal body fat range is. It's not so much about a body fat percentage. We're not trying to stay between like 8% and 12% body fat. We're not even necessarily trying to stay within a certain look, although aesthetics are important to us, but the aesthetics kind of naturally take care of themselves because our approach right now is to stay in a sweet spot where we're feeling our best, we're performing our best, and we're thriving in all aspects of life. So I'm really looking forward to kind of sharing insights that you and I have both learned throughout our transformation journey over the years that have allowed us to get to this point where we're breaking free from those numbers and really honing in on where our personal sweet spot is. Because for those watching this, it's going to be different for them than it is for us. You and I both thrive at a relatively lean physique here, whereas others, that may not be their sweet spot. So really helping them determine where their sweet spot is, where they're feeling their best, where they're thriving. I think a great place to start is you just ended a muscle building journey recently, your muscle building phase. And it wasn't so much about I'm going to build for X number of months, or I'm going to hit a certain body weight, or as soon as I hit 15% body fat, then it's time to cut. You weren't necessarily looking for those numbers. It came down to a feeling and asking yourself, like, is it worth it for me to continue pushing this muscle building phase? Because a lot of the information out there would say, like, keep pushing. You got to keep going at it, keep eating, keep getting bigger, and then cut back. But you listen to your body. So share a little bit about the insights that you gained from that experience and why you decided to stop and decide it was time for a little mini cut here.
Yeah, so a little backstory. I mean, when I first started working with you, I was just chasing a look, and like I was willing to put up with any like side effects to obtain that look. And as I have progressed even from that point, that's about 4 years ago. Now I'm much more dialed in with mindset and how I'm feeling on a day-to-day basis. And so it's not that I'm not going to lie and say I don't care about physique. I do.
Mm.
I love, bodybuilding, training for a look, keeping that look relatively speaking, but not at the cost of performance, not at the cost of energy, not at the cost of stress management, sleep, libido, all of those things that I've now, maybe it's as I've just gotten older, realize matter much, much more because yeah, I have a great workout session and then I can't do anything else for the rest of the day because I'm tired, it really isn't worth it to me at this point. And so, over the last, I would say, solid 2 years, I have spent more time in a surplus or pretty close to maintenance than any other point in my lifting career. And that is actually what I prefer. And in this most recent, I started to notice some things with like my heart rate was a little bit more elevated than it normally is. My digestion wasn't as good as it was. My mood was a little bit off. And I was just like not feeling all that great. Like if you were to look or I were to show you pictures, it wasn't determined by physique. Like I was fine carrying a little bit more body fat, but it was and it wasn't this like vainglorious thing where I'm like looking in the mirror and like, okay, it's time to like, taper down a little bit. It was the choice was made solely based on other metrics other than physique. And probably for the first time ever, it was like, I'm just not feeling very dialed in. And, I was paying attention to sleep management, like sleep hygiene's good, my diet's on point, hadn't had a drop of alcohol in, over 4 or 5 months. So all of these things where I'm like, okay, this is where, because my day to day is pretty routine for me, where I can say, all right, I'm gonna, taper down a little bit and see how things change.
And again, experience is huge. So if this is someone's first time going through a muscle building phase, it may not be as obvious. If you've had several multiple muscle building phases in the past, kind of take some time to sit in that, reflect on how you were feeling throughout that process. We've both gained excess fat during previous muscle building phases. We know what that feels like. From my personal experience, I'd say not so much from when I gained the 50 pounds of fat because my lifestyle was crappy at that point, but when I intentionally went through muscle building phases for 5 to 6 years there, 13 to whatever, 7 years ago, I gained 30 pounds, 20 pounds, and just realizing like anything beyond 10 pounds did not feel good to me. But I did it because of all the advice out there. Don't be afraid to lose your abs. You got to keep getting out there. You're going to get stronger and everything. And I just didn't notice increases of strength gains as my fat gains increase. It's not like fat's contractile. And that's the thing. Like I just received a comment on one of my videos, like, how can you possibly get stronger when you're staying that lean? I'm like, we all thrive at different levels of leanness. And that's why it's so important to pay attention to your own body rather than what others are doing and following some sort of standard out there. Listen to your body. Now I'm at a point where like my sweet spot is probably like 5 pounds. It's within a 5 pound range that I stick in. I was trying like for the past 7 years, keeping it within 10, but the past 2 years, I've really noticed that when I get beyond 5 pounds, that's when I start feeling just a little uncomfortable. And especially if I get like 7 pounds to 8, between the 7 pounds to 10 pounds gain, like there's a heaviness in my stomach. I don't perform as well on the ice when I'm playing hockey. I don't perform as well in a lot of my athletics. I just feel sluggish. I feel a little bit slower, that little heaviness internally. um, like you just said, like I look great. It's nothing to do with looks. I can
Yeah.
hold that look and be very happy ripping my shirt off at the beach. So I'm not like, oh my God, it's time to end this muscle building phase, which for the past several years have been just about a year long. So I'm like pushing that calorie surplus for a long, lengthy period of time, not afraid of some fat gain there. But it's the feeling that I just, if I'm not performing my best, if I'm not feeling my best, that's what's going to determine that cutting phase. And
Yeah.
so it sounds like you're in the same boat.
Yeah, well, I mean, 100%. And like this isn't, I mean, this is me celebrating my journey, because, but it's taken me, 20 years to get to here and to like to learn how to manage, whether that be training or diet, and like be real with what I'm actually feeling, because I have maintained lower body weights, but I've felt like just not good. And but I continued on because of the way I looked. And now, thankfully I've maintained training and I've reached a point where I could at least maintain a 4 pack with in higher, like carrying a higher weight. Now, to get, I would have a 6 pack if I were to flex, but I have to be at a lower, that's just my physique, my physiology, that I have to be lower to like see my lower abs. But to anyone who was just starting and maybe this is your first couple of times, I think what I would tell myself if I were just starting my journey is that it goes beyond looks at other metrics like the things I mentioned previous, and they may not coincide with right now with how you think, okay, I'm going to lose 15 pounds, I'm going to look this way, and I'm going to feel this way. Like it just doesn't work that way. And it's taken many muscle building phases, periods of maintenance, dropping to then be able to carry more muscle, be a little bit leaner, feel a little bit better, eat a little bit more, not have to diet so hard to get to the level where I feel better. But I think that is the journey, right? It isn't like one and done. I would love for it
Hmm.
to be, but it's just not.
Hmm. Hmm. Such a good point there in regards to flexing as well, because it's whenever you flex or I flex, we look so much leaner. We're like, okay, I'm done. Why bother going through a cutting phase when I look like this? But it's not like we're walking around flexing all the time. And some other people like see pictures of us flexing. And I think the comment came from like when someone sees a picture of me and they're, well, how can you get stronger? You're that lean. I'm like, okay, now when I'm relaxed, you don't see the details of the lower abs and all that kind of stuff. It's definitely different. But yeah, I really see this. I don't think enough people talk about when to end a muscle building phase and paying attention to how you feel at that point. So you shouldn't be pushing it to that point. Well, it depends. If that's your thing, if you really want to be uncomfortable, but I prefer to thrive and feel my best throughout the process. So now shifting gears to cutting, what are you looking for throughout this process? Like, what are some signs that you're going to stop that cutting phase no matter how long you've been at it or how lean you look? What are some of the, how will you feel? How will you performance things are you looking for when you're going to stop the cutting phase here?
Honestly, like I could stop right now and be very, very happy. I wouldn't push calories as high as I was at. I think I would maintenance calories would be a little bit lower, like upper 2,900, 3,000. And I'd be fine. But I'm going to go like right now, I don't even think about it. Like diet's on automatic. And when I start to notice decreases in performance, both in the gym and then outside for other things I have going on, that's when I'll cut it because I'm not interested in getting like super peeled, super lean when it comes at the cost of like my day-to-day life. So I'm not even taking it week by week. I'm just kind of gauging things in the moment and how I'm feeling. Again, just being honest with myself and saying, all right, am I carrying more fatigue than normal? Like, am I still able to hit my numbers in the gym? Like, am I feeling good? How am I sleeping when I wake up? Um, I don't abuse caffeine, but I can also start to tell like, hey, I mean, like if I tell myself like, oh man, I could go for a energy drink or an espresso shot right now, that's when I kind of start to know that like, all right, I need be a little bit more mindful of how I'm recovering and is it worth it to push? So that's how I am gauging this. And I have no end date. I have no goal weight in mind. It's just simply if I'm continuing to perform, I feel like I'm recovering, I'm not losing strength in the gym, then I'll just continue on.
Hmm. Yeah. And again, same. Same page as me there. And I think that's again the beauty of staying within your sweet spot, within that range where you're feeling your best, performing your best, and really thriving in all aspects of life is that when you do have to go through a cutting phase, it's going to be short. It's going to be a mini cut. It's no more of these lengthy fat loss phases where like towards the end you are exhausted. And it's the reason you feel tired, the lack of energy and all that stuff is a lot of is the duration, the mental fatigue, and your body's fatigue from being at it for so long. But really, if you stay within your sweet spot and you only have to do a mini cut, pretty much feel good throughout most of it. And then it's just at the very end, we're like, it's not really worth it to push this any deeper. I already look great to begin with. Numbers are starting to go in. I'm just not moving my best. I don't have the same kind of energy as I usually do. I'm not able to give the best of myself to everyone else. Stop. Like it's why push it any further if your goal is to just thrive and to feel your best rather than chasing a look unless you want to do a temporary like photo shoot
Yeah, yeah,
or muscle building contest, which that's a whole different ball game there where you will
sure.
experience
Yeah.
different stuff. But yeah, staying within your sweet spot, just paying attention to those signals, those signs, and recognizing that yeah, it likely has to do with how lean I am rather than you know what, my sleep's been crap all week long. Um, of course, you're going to feel fatigued and run down because your sleep's been crap. Um, as long as it's not your body leanness that's leading to the sleep issues to begin with. But if you're just out
Yeah.
of whack with stuff, then
I try to arm, myself, but also clients with like a little mental checklist to go through. Like if your diet's in order, your sleep's in order, stress management's in order, and like you're checking some social boxes, you're not isolating yourself, that kind of thing. Like if those are on point, then you can start to like say like it is probably this.
exactly.
Is it every time? No. I mean, of course it's a culmination, but that is why we were talking about a sweet spot, like a range where if you dip below, you start to feel some negative effects that maybe they're just not worth it. And if you go too high, you start to feel negative effects that maybe just aren't worth it. We're not talking about like getting like super lean for a photo shoot or to step on stage or any of that. And I think that it's important to um I think that's why you work with a coach, even for a little bit, to help you identify some of those things and to be another pair of eyes that can say, like, hey, you've been pushing for, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 8 months, however long. And like, let's just maintain. Let's move away from it all and let your body recuperate, have some good, productive workout sessions, energy. You have more energy, you have more mental bandwidth. And then we can, approach whether you like where you are, you like how you look, you like how you're feeling. You can approach everything from a position of power rather than feeling like I've got to get to this scale weight at all costs. And maybe you don't even look how you want then, but you're just burnt out.
Such good points, man. And love your checklist. Love these insights. It's super practical. It gives people a lot of insight in there. And again, there's so many factors to consider. Like you and I we're experienced. We've been training for a long time. Um, so like even muscle gains during a muscle building, it doesn't make sense for us to try to gain 30, 40 pounds just for the sake of like eking out 1 or 2 pounds of muscle or anything like that. So it's much more intelligent to spend more time in a gentle calorie surplus and maintenance, very little time dieting for where we're at in our journey. And I mentioned a 5 pound sweet spot for me. And again, that's come down to because of my training age, because of my size, like I'm 147, 148 pounds, like I'm not a very big guy. So a 5 pound difference for me may look similar to like a 10 pound range for someone who's 200 pounds. And so I'm like 5'7", 147 pounds. You're about what, 5'9" ish, 5'10" or 5'9",
Five, yeah, 5'8",
5, 5'8", 5'8".
5'8",
Yeah.
5'9". And yeah, I mean, like I think this morning I was 158 pounds. Um, and yeah, so like I'm like right in where I have it's like my ultimate combination of I feel like I carry good size. My conditioning is on point. I love the way my physique looks. Can recover. Now, what I'm going to do is, maybe I do, now that we're talking about this, drop another, like once I start getting to 155, 156, in my opinion, I look just too thin at that
Mm.
point. So like I am a pound away and I'll hold that for a couple of weeks and probably bring calories back up.
So we do take looks into consideration a little bit because we're looking at some things. We're like, it's no, although we're feeling great, if we push it a little bit more, we know that we may be getting more definition and detail, but we're not holding that mass that makes us look well. So we're taking a balanced approach of the right level of leanness, the right level of muscularity, how we're feeling, like you said, how we're recovering, just again, thriving. So there's so many different factors that we're really taking into consideration in
Yeah.
finding our sweet spot. And it's not like we're, again, like you said, trying to hit that number on a scale. Like I say a 5 pound sweet spot. It's not like I'm trying to stay within a 5 pound sweet spot. It's just like when I'm paying attention to when I get a little leaner than that 5 pounds, I don't perform my best. When I start gaining a little bit more than that 5 pounds, I still feel good, but I start to notice there's that little bit of decrease. Like 7 pounds, more of a decrease, 10 pound gain. Like, okay, I'm just not performing the way I should. So it's just an awareness that that's where I fall. I'm not trying to stay within those numbers. It's just an observation. So you really need to have that heightened sense of awareness throughout this process
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. And yeah, I mean, me, like when start getting too lean, I start to get more moody.
Mm.
And that's how I know, like I'm more irritable. I'm just not quite as patient. And on the opposite end, I start to get lethargic and I don't feel like I'm processing as fast. And so that's just an easy way for me to kind of tell where I am. And I mean, with this cut, I mean, I haven't even been tracking. Like I just at this point, I eat the same things, and I just know by feel kind of that's how I'm playing this.
Kick ass, man. I love it. Great discussion, man. I think there's some golden nuggets to take away from this. I appreciate hearing your experience and how similar it has been to mine. Just great to see, like you said, started working together 4 years ago. I mean, just the journey that you've been on to get to this point where we're both not relying so much on numbers. We have this heightened sense of awareness with our body, and we do realize like the best thing for us is just to thrive all the time and continue to challenge our bodies and to continue to
Sure.
try to
Yeah,
get better, but not at the expense of feeling our best at the same time. I appreciate it, man. Great conversation here, brother.
absolutely.
I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do me a huge favor and smash that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that alert button so you're notified each time I upload a video. If you know a fellow bro who would benefit from watching today's video, please do me a favor and share it with them. But more than anything, I'd love to hear from you down in the comment section below. Share your thoughts, share your feedback, share your own personal experiences with finding your sweet spot, and if you think you know where your ideal body fat range is. Before you go, don't forget to download your free guide, Lose Fat, Get Jacked. I'll include a link down below in the description, as well as a top pinned comment. Have yourself an amazing day. I'll catch you in the next video.